This is a clip from one of our most recent episodes. For full episodes and more, please check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Stitcher, and YourVibesPodcast.com. This episode is brought to you by Sassy Pop Boutique. Sassy Pop is a women's clothing and accessory boutique located inside Mulberry Mill in Dixon, Tennessee. Sassy Pop's fashion professionals help their clients find the right style and fit for all body types and sizes. Whether you are an extra small or a 3XL, Sassy Pop Boutique will have you looking your best for all 4 seasons. Check them out on Facebook at Sassy Pop Boutique and on Instagram at Sassy Pop Boutique Dixon. Or browse their website for 24-hour shopping and shipping anywhere in the United States at sassypopboutique.com. So I'm interested in this as well too. So obviously being an attorney is quite time consuming. What's your schedule look like as far as, how much time are you committing to your individual practice versus, sitting on the bench, as the judge, and it's a pretty tough schedule to work out, or?
Well, so White Bluff, when I started, I was having court once a month in White Bluff. And that would last somewhere 5 or 6 hours. And then I made some changes, and now we have court twice a month, the second and fourth Tuesdays. And so since the time I was elected, I've handled just shy of 6,000 cases in White Bluff Municipal Court.
Wow.
And I would say at this point, probably in 4 or 5 hours a month in court. The rules of judicial conduct are very clear that if you're a judge, your responsibilities have to take precedence over everything. There's exceptions for emergencies and whatnot, but you're required to make sure that you run the court and that you don't let anything get in the way. So if I've got some kind of issue with a case in my law practice that's scheduled on the same day, I can either try to find a judge to cover for me, or I have to move that case. It's just the rules are clear that your judicial functions must take precedence.
Okay.
And so it's a commitment that you make. In addition to that, I supervise 2 magistrates who are on call 24 hours a day to review any warrants or any affidavits and warrants in White Bluff. Also, I'm called in occasionally to review search warrants or things of that nature. So you got to be available, but you have to be efficient, and you have to make sure that cases are moving through the system.
Yeah, I can't get them hung up. I'm sure there's plenty to do as well too. So what was it, that kind of, I guess, sparked your interest to want to go on this run for circuit court? It's obviously you've seen and tried plenty of cases, seemingly. So why the move and why now?
So there's a number of questions you ask yourself about that, but I've always looked for opportunities to serve my community. And so, I ran in 14 in White Bluff, and I've been serving White Bluff since then. I've also helped found a Friends of White Bluff, which is a nonprofit in White Bluff to help the White Bluff community. I was one of the founding board members of CASA of Dixon County to help with children in foster care, and we've been able to expand that program now to serve Stewart County as well. And I've been on a number of other nonprofit boards, Habitat for Humanity. I'm currently on Developmental Services of Dixon County. So I always look for ways to serve my community. And so I started to consider running for circuit court judge. And so the first question I asked myself was, do I want to be circuit court judge? Is that the right fit? Mm-hmm. And so that's the first question. And so I look at that, to be circuit court judge, there's a number of things. One, the terms are the same as White Bluff Municipal Court. So in order to run for circuit court, necessarily don't run for White Bluff. And so you've got to be, make that decision. If you're elected to circuit court, you stop practicing law. And so that's another part of that process.
Okay.
And so, and kind of like I mentioned before, it's one of those things where you make the decision and have faith you're making the right decision, because as I had before, you have to lay a lot on the line to do that, to make a run. And so, it's a decision that I made very serious consideration of. I spoke with Crystal. I spoke with other members of my family. I spoke to key supporters and stakeholders, and so and then obviously at this point we all know I answered the question yes. I did want to run for municipal court or circuit court judge. The second thing I asked myself is, can I make an impact on the court or improve the court? All our incumbents are running again, so I wanted to look at, can I make the court system better? If I'm running without the goal of improving the court system, then I'm not really serving our community. And so I looked at that issue, and could I impact or improve the court system? And I believe I can.
Yeah.
And so that was a big part of it. Once I decided that I was interested in it, I wanted to make sure I was doing it for the right reasons, to improve our court system. So, and then the last question you ask yourself about that is, where can I make the biggest impact, the greatest impact? And so that had a lot of sub questions, identifying what are the issues, or where are the places that we needed improvement, what changes could be made to improve those things.
Are these all kind of logisticals, or are there some decisions maybe kind of being made that you think should have been made differently, or just kind of dive into what are some key things that you're seeing that when should you get elected, Leonard's going to come in and here's kind of be his format that he's going to operate on.
Sure. So one of the biggest things, or one of the things you hear the most when you speak to people about the court, people ask, well, why does it take so long for cases to get through the system? And so I started looking at that, wondering, can we improve efficiency? In my practice, I've practiced all over the state of Tennessee. So I've handled cases in Shelby County, I've handled cases in Claiborne County and near the Cumberland Gap, and everywhere in between. And so I've been in front of a lot of different judges. And you can watch how they handle the courtroom and pick up on good habits and bad habits. Sometimes the bad habits are just as important as the good habits. You can see how not to do things. But and one issue in our court system, when we have a trial date on the criminal docket and the civil docket as well, but more so in the criminal docket, is there will be sometimes 20 or 30 cases set on one day. And so you come to court at a plea date, usually in the same week, and if you're not going to settle the case, you push it to trial. Well, there are criteria of how the courts pick which ones go first all the way down, but if you're number 30 on that list, you don't feel this urge to make sure you're ready. I mean, you want to make sure you're ready. You don't want to not be prepared. But I'm sure there's times when you're kind of caught where you never thought 1 through 29 would move, and your number 30's up.
Oh man, we're up.
Right. And so I feel like that's a huge problem in our system, and that's what causes some of the there's nothing worse than you get to court on a trial date, and then there's nothing to try. And so then that's a wasted trial date when you could have tried something else. And so that's one thing I've looked at pretty hard of how we could change the scheduling of trials so that we don't miss any of those trial dates.
Okay.
Other things, there's a lot of inconsistency among the judges. We have 3 different judges. And it would be really, really nice to try to develop some protocols that would be the same across all three judges. And of course, that takes buy-in from all three judges.
Absolutely.
But any changes in the court system take buy-in. You have to have, like for criminal or docketing, you have to have buy-in from the defense bar. You have to have buy-in from the district attorney's office. You have to have buy-in from the court clerks. You have to have buy-in from the judges, the court reporters. And so, leadership skills are necessary to get that buy-in. And so, all those changes can only be made if everybody agrees.
Yeah, and it just makes things more efficient. Like as you said, the court system is just slam packed and backed up, and then that's an unfortunate case. You wish you didn't have to have that much. You just kind of wish everything was ran smoothly and nobody intentionally broke the law, but it is what it is. So. And Dixon County in particular is growing, at a vast rate. So, I'm sure obviously the more people you get here that are living here, the more opportunity there is to see something in court as well too.
And that answers the question you ask, why now? Mm-hmm. And so there are what's called weighted caseload studies that are done every year. And our weighted caseload study say we need at least one additional judge, if not two additional judges in our district.
Wow.
And so efficiency is important, to try to stop the cases from backing up more. COVID-19 caused even mm-hmm. more of a backup. And, the courts shut down. If you would ask any attorney, in February of last year, is it possible that the entire court system in the state of Tennessee would stop and close their doors? They would have told you, never, mm-hmm. no way, no how. But COVID-19 did that.
Yeah.
But when the Supreme Court closed the courts to in-person hearings, they asked for the courts to develop plans of how they were going to operate under those circumstances. And White Bluff Municipal Court was the first court within the 23rd District, which is our district, which includes Cheatham, Dixon, Houston, Humphreys, and Stewart counties. It was the first court in the 23rd District to submit a plan of how we were going to continue to operate. And White Bluff was only the second court in Middle Tennessee to submit a plan.
Wow.
So, during that time, I spoke with the mayor because I needed her assistance to make sure how we were running the facilities. Spoke to the police chief to make sure that we had buy-in there, the district attorney's office, the public defender's office. And I submitted a plan, I believe, within about 48 hours, maybe a little bit shorter than that, of how we were going to run court in White Bluff. And so, it's things like that. Whenever a decision needs to be made, it needs to be made decisively, it needs to be made promptly, and you need to have buy-in from all the different parts. Mm-hmm. And so, that's why now. And then you talked about growth. We're going to get bigger, and we can't rely on getting more help. It takes a long time for things, to change. It takes legislative action to authorize more judges. There's a fiscal note, mm-hmm. So they have to find funding for more judges. And so, we need judges who can make changes and innovations to increase efficiency to make the system work better.
Absolutely.
And so that's why now.
Wow. Yeah. And it's no better time than now either. We're seeing, how old are you? Like, you're not too terribly old, are you? Right?
I'm 37.
37. Yeah. See, and that's, you're kind of right in the wave of, I've said it on the past couple episodes as well, is that there's a lot of youth kind of stepping up into some major leadership roles in this county, and not necessarily wanting to, flip it on its head, but as you well see and as you've stated, there just are some changes that are afoot, and it's not stop them or grab them and run 100%. It's how do you control this change efficiently? How do you make this transition of growth in a way that you're not growing too fast, but you're also not missing opportunity as well too. Thanks again to Sassy Pop Boutique for sponsoring this episode. If you are looking for the right fit and style for this upcoming season, feel free to reach out to their fashion professionals on their socials at Sassy Pop Boutique on Facebook and Sassy Pop Boutique Dixon on Instagram, or head on over to their website at sassypopboutique.com for 24-hour shopping and nationwide shipping. If you're interested in sponsoring an episode, please reach out to me directly via email at yourvibespodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening, and always remember, stay vibey, my friends.